I feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem, because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll tell you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
Good morning, or afternoon today, I guess. Today's late. Anyway, I'd like to talk a quick bit about Bitcoin and our bearish mean reversion condition that is recently completed. I've been scalping the 1 minute chart quite a bit the last few days, trying to save up some money for vacation, so I figured I'd take things to the leveraged exchange and go at it. And I'm happy to say, well, it's been going very well, at the very least. I figured out how to catch swing lows for mean reversion conditions, and it's been treating me really nicely. I'm waiting for this bullish condition here to activate, so hopefully that shouldn't take too long. As soon as it's active, I'll be able to get a signal on the swing low, and it should make around 1%. Unleveraged, of course, but I'll be going leveraged, to say the least, so let's see how that plays out. Anyway, we're going to start off on the 4-hour chart and talk about our bearish mean reversion condition. Currently, our longest overexpanded period is 225. So let's pop in that value, 225. And we're going to do the 22 period on our swing high. 225 there as well, and 22 here. Beautiful. So those values are going to give us a good representation of extreme values and the mean reversion condition itself. Okay. The 3.2, the longest overexpanded, isn't relevant at this time. However, it does very clearly point out where the exactual compression began. Right at this location, the band stopped expanding, and Bitcoin actually, I am 2 candles off, excuse me. Here we go. Right on that candle is where the upward trend for Bitcoin ended, and if you look through my trading view ideas, that is consistent. The bearish mean reversion condition activated at this location, which implied reversion down to this mean. Right? This bearish mean reversion has just completed, I'm happy to say. So, we have no idea what to look forward to, if we're being totally honest. Let's talk about why. Because if you have a data set of information, and let's record this because I've got a good rant here. So, if you have an active mean reversion condition as defined by our longest overexpanded period, in this scenario, 225, right? It implies reversion down to the 225 moving average for that relative time frame. What's important to note about this is, even though mean reversion is implied, it is not guaranteed. In this scenario, we were kind enough to actually receive the entry signal right on this candle at the swing high top. Right, 1/10 period CCI roll down in this scenario is 22 on the 1.25 standard deviation, which allows us to gain entry into the trade down to the mean itself. Right, so we have successfully seen that mean reversion. However, when you have a data set, right, as defined by the 1.25 standard deviation, right, all that's implied when you re-enter it is that price will trade laterally as defined by that compressing band. And compressing band is very important, right? Since the pivot point for expansion or compression is the 1.25 standard deviation for any distributional period, which means that if we go outside the band, that would count as a state of expansion. All right. And what's good about this is based on where we are, based on, I said that too many times, the previous crash pattern in 2015, right? This has been the initial markup, and now we are getting compressing price, which implies reaccumulation and markup. So any kind of new higher high here is going to cause the re-expansion of our previously longest overexpanded distribution, and that's particularly wholesome because that will be the beginning of the bull run. I'm being 100% serious. It has been a year and a half since Bitcoin last crashed, and the market has returned to at least a semblance of a state of potential energy. All right, we're going to check out the BLX chart here. Beautiful. And we're going to switch this over to logarithmic real quick and look at this goofy line. Beautiful. Nice. And I'm just going to switch these back to default values by doing like this. Excellent. So, we pull ourselves back here and look at the previous reaccumulation period. We get some really interesting results. Okay. Let's duplicate this as well, just so we can compare them side by side. Very nice. And actually, let's keep the indicators on the bottom, because we can actually, wow, get super similar readings when we get a closer look at it. So, in both scenarios, we had significant downward expansion, like so, right? In both scenarios, we had significant downward expansion, which triggered a mean reversion condition, which resulted in a lateral move, right? Then, afterwards, we had a significant markup with a parabola, like so, in each instance. And what does that do? That upward move generates mass of its own. So, when we get this mass generation here, which has, interestingly enough, the same volatility overhead expansion we saw at this location, right? Where we have the initial expansion followed by the secondary upward push, which implies additional force being applied to the market, right? It results in this really nice and tight compressionary period, this super obvious bull flag. And I am inclined to believe we are seeing that same structure format this time, right? The same compressionary cycle, the same reaccumulation before Bitcoin's upcoming markup and subsequent bull run. And when we actually look at this on the weekly chart, we get a very interesting result. And specifically, it has to do with 3D Wave PM. Hopefully we can snap this back to where it was with minimal effort. I can't double click on the scale because that'll snap me back to where we were. Okay. So, in both scenarios, we had the activation of the mean reversion condition, which led down to the reversion to the mean, which had 2 bounces and then a parabolic move to the upside. Okay, so at this time, really, just comparing these significant moves, it's really important to emphasize that shorting, while profitable, is going to have much higher risk due to the nature of the previous bull run. Okay, and what's really nice is the mass ratings. They're identical, right? Where we have the bull run, and then the huge overexpansion that forms, right? Bull run, huge overexpansion forms. So what is the condition for trend continuation? Well, it needs to shed its mass. It needs to revert below the 0.7 value, which is represented by green in the 3D Wave PM. So, guess where in the previous crash pattern, market returned to a state of potential energy? Right on, please draw a vertical line. Got my hotkeys. Oh, it's because I'm putting on the wrong thing. There we go. Right on that candle is where we actually shed enough mass to have trend continuation. And miraculously enough, this candle here this guy is the candle where we got shed enough mass to trend continuation. And what's really pretty is that these are at the exact same location. It's almost bizarre how close they are. So, we had our volatility pop to the upside afterwards, like so, followed by our initial retrace, and hopefully we're going to get our buy signal, and it's going to end up in a very tight range, and then we're just going to go completely parabolic, right? So, the previous time where we had this compression, it took us, in 100 days, we jumped 500%. So, as soon as we have an upward break here, any kind of bullish position you can throw out is going to treat itself very nicely. I do need to point out that there was a significant shakeout on the previous upward beginning. Do be aware of that. Don't over leverage. Or if you do over leverage, please do your best at trying to find the swing low. It is going to be a wildly profitable year. I'm very much convinced of that, right? That's about it. That's what I gotta say. It's interesting to note is before we even were considered in a state of expansion again, from this candle to this candle, that's a year, right? 420 days. Okay, previously I said days, but I meant candles, excuse me. So just multiply whatever I said by 7. We are going to have a very long compressionary period. Just so you understand how long the compressionary period. And yes, there are going to be significant markups several times. It is important to note that the markup is going to take quite some time to form. Mostly because of the compressionary period we're seeing on the shorter time frames, right? As I showed you on the 4-hour chart. That needs to shed all its mass before we can actually get that beginning of an uptrend again. Okay. It has been a beautiful day. Talk to you folks later. So, if you have an active mean reversion condition as defined by our longest overexpanded period, in this scenario, pause. Check out our comments. T-Fuel. I remember setting a signal for that. I think it was me trying to buy the bounce. Strongly disagree that the bearish condition on Bitcoin is over. Oh, dude. I don't know where you got that from. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's over either. The bearish condition isn't over, but implied direction kind of is. At least from a more macro standpoint. How far we'll retrace, I'm not really sure yet. What I'm going to do, let me tell you my game plan. That's probably the best way to explain myself. Really, I'm just going to wait for any kind of downward expansion, say on the 4-hour or 1-hour charts, and I'll buy the bullish mean reversion. Other than that, I don't think trying to buy the dip is really worth the risk at this time. But yeah, I don't think it's over. I just think it's getting hazy now that the mean reversion is completed. Time to close the BTC USD short. It can retrace farther if it wants to. Downward trend is still technically active, you know? So where should Bitcoin retrace to in case it goes the same as last time? Yeah, my retracement target's hit. Doesn't mean it can't retrace farther. Alright, in theory, it can drop to the bottom edge of the 225, which I'm assuming is here. So yeah, 5,000 is possible, to say the least. FUSD short, yeah, man, that's probably treating you well, I'll be honest. Yeah, it's an active condition. I'm really inclined just for risk management purposes to set up a trailing stop once the mean is actually hit. So. Oh, this actually is bearish expansion as well. If you look closely at that, that's very bearish. Net expansion, or comprehensive net expansion, all in the same direction. Yeah, I'd actually stay in that short. You're tagging the 3.2 right now, but it's still a solid position from the looks of it. Okay, how are we doing on viewers? If it's less than 10, I'm going to be done, because I know this is super late. 11! Damn, y'all. Okay. Get your altcoin questions in. I need what you got. And then I'll see you all tomorrow at 1 p.m. MST. I got all these notifications and I want to click on them. It's driving me crazy. Bread. I am bread. Okay, let's see what we got. Don't re-enter. You're tagging 3.2, and that's a terrible entry signal. Hey, hold on. What's this? Yo, this is super bullish. I'm gonna call this. This is a great chart. No, that's a breakout. It's tried and true. How's volume on it? Strong. Okay. Consider buying this. It looks really nice. Maybe we'll get a swing low, but we actually generated some decent mass here, so we can define that by looking at the 350. Huh. Yeah, that's technically a trend. I mean, just be aware that you might retrace at least 6%, so waiting for an entry on this might be the best situation. I'm going to check out Litecoin, and then I'll be done. I know XRP got hit pretty hard by fake news that they acquired MoneyGram, which was this pump here, and like, oh, just kidding. Oh god, these allergies, man. Everything is coated in pollen. My life's hell. I actually might want to take a long this. There's a decent condition here on the 160. Yeah, if that triggers, I might take a long here. It's been a while since we had any kind of downward expansion, and because this is a compressionary range, we might be able to get a longer term entry into it. So I'll check out Litecoin. Go. Bitstamp, not what I wanted. LTCM 19. How's that? Very nice. Well, you have an upward trend, right? We played this longer bearish mean inversion, and that was really nice, but Other than that, nicely generated plume of mass. We would look at that quite cleanly. Take a look at the 300. Sure, the mean reversion pivot's pretty far away. If you want to try to buy the bounce on that or the reversion itself, both will play out rather well. Yeah, there's good positions in the market today. It's got to be patient for the conditions to trigger. No, I don't like looking at the short-long ratio. I don't think it's valuable information. At least, I don't really trade on it. Someone might figure it out, but I'm not willing to. I'll resign to that. All right, folks, you have a beautiful day. I will talk to y'all later. I'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. That's the wrong hotkey. This one. Goodbye.